Hi, my name is Mr. Kangas, and today we're going to take a look at Chapter 12, Section 10, Probability of Composite Events. A composite event consists of two or more simple events. Simple events, we've talked about how to find the probability for those in the previous section, Chapter 12, Section 7. Okay, simple events, it's simply if I have a bag, it's got 8 marbles in it, and I want to know what is the chance that I can pull a green marble out of that bag. Well, there are 2 green marbles. That's what I'm looking for, my favorable outcomes. And there's a total of 8 marbles in the bag. This is a simple event. Now, a composite event wants me to find the probability of 2 or more simple events. Okay, so we're just going to work with 2 simple events. So, an example, using the marbles again, an example of a simple event would be of a simple composite an example of a composite event here would be I want to pull a green marble and a blue marble. So I would first find the probability of one of them. In this case, I have the green marble's probability up here on the board. So next I need to find the probability of a blue marble, which is 4 out of 8. And I would then multiply the 2 probabilities together for an 8 out of 64 chance or a 1 in 8 chance of pulling a green and a blue. Not a green then a blue, but a green and a blue. So why does that work? Why is it I can just multiply those 2 probabilities together? Why does that make sense? Okay, that's a very good question to ask, and it's a very good question to understand because it will make this concept stick in your memory longer, and it will just make this process a whole lot less confusing. One of the worst things you can do in math is understand how something works, but never understand why it works. Just understand how to do it, but not understand what exactly it is you're doing. So hopefully my explanation will make sense, and if it doesn't, please pause the video, ask for help. But here we go. On bottom, this is going to use a lot of information from the previous sections, from 12.7 all the way up through the 12.9. Okay? On the bottom, we have the total number of marbles in the bag on pull 1. Here's the total number of marbles in the bag on pull 2. So when I multiply 8 times 8, that means there's a total of 64 possible pull outcomes for the 2 pulls together. Basically what we're doing is we have 8 marbles and we're pulling out of it twice, but we're replacing the marble. Okay, remember, we're replacing the marble in an independent event. In an independent event, because this is what this video is on, we're talking about independent, two simple independent events. So in other words, we have to replace the marble. The first pull cannot affect the second pull. If I were to pull a marble out of the bag on my first pull and not replace it, that would be a dependent event because that would alter the probability of me pulling out a blue marble on my second pull, because instead of having 8 marbles in the bag, I would now have 7. So in an independent event, okay, you have to remember that you're replacing what was taken from the first pull. The 2 events do not affect each other. Okay, that is why we have 8 marbles in the bag on both pulls. And because both pulls have 8 marbles in the bag, there's a total of 64 possible outcomes. Because 8 times 8 is 64. Because remember, I could pull marble 1, and then I could pull any of these 8 marbles. So there's 8 possible outcomes. I could pull marble 2, and then any of these 8 possible outcomes. So there's another 8 outcomes. I could pull marble 3, and then any of these 8 marbles. There's another 8 outcomes. So in other words, I'm doing 8 plus 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 8. I'm adding 8 times. In other words, I'm doing 8 times 8. Because for every marble that I could possibly pull from pull 1, I can pull I have another 8 possibilities in pull 2. So there's a total of 64 different outcomes overall. Now, out of those 64 outcomes, I want to know how many of them are favorable. How many of them will result in me pulling a green marble and a blue marble? Well, that's where the 2 times 4 comes in. My first pull could be green marble 1. And then I could pull any of the following 4 blue marbles. So there's 4 possible outcomes there. Green marble 1 with any of the 4 blues. Green marble 2 with any of the 4 blues. There's your other 4. Or in other words, 4 plus 4. Or in other words, 2 times 4. So you have 8 possible favorable outcomes where you end up with a green marble and a blue marble. So total, you have 8 possible favorable outcomes out of 64 total possible outcomes, which results in a 1 in 8 chance if you reduce that fraction, or roughly 12.5% chance of getting a green and a blue marble. So if there are any questions on this, please let me know. I hope that explanation made sense to you. Pause the video, take some notes, but definitely ask questions if you have them. The next video will be on dependent events. This video was on independent events, events that don't affect one another. The next video is going to be on dependent events, and then following that will be mutually exclusive events.